Hello, lovelies. Mina here. Welcome to my channel if it's your first time. Welcome back if you've been here before. Either way, it's good to see you. So today we are returning to the miniature doll room diorama thingy. I constructed this originally back in March. If you're unfamiliar, I'll have it linked up above and down below so you can check that video out. Actually, it was a series of videos that I stretched out over what I called March Miniature Madness. Because this thing almost drove me to madness. Would have been a short trip, but still. We are returning this time to make tiny festive decorations. I don't feel festive though, so I'm hoping that playing around with little toys essentially will help get me there. I also pulled out my unhinged gingerbread man shirt because clearly this makes me smile. I love these little guys. They are so derpy. This was one of those shirts that looked very different on the online pictures than when it actually showed up. I mean, some of these are upside down. But you know what? I really like them. I love these like wide-eyed, slightly crazed. Are they holding a maraca? Or is that a wine bottle? Does it matter? I mean, these gingerbread men, they're going to have a party. They may be dancing on your corpse, but it's going to be a party. Yep, that's where I'm at with my festive feelings. A little unhinged, but we're going to roll with it. I've already done this before, if you're unfamiliar. I made Halloween decorations for this very room, and I will link that video up above and down below, so you can go and check that out. I very nearly shed a tear when I took all those decorations down, because the older I get, the more in spooky season I live. So yeah, I'm a little sad that I had to take those down, and I will definitely be putting them back up earlier next year, like maybe January. Anyway, those turned out so well that I decided I wanted to give it a try, making things a little festive in there. And hopefully that will stir up some festiveness within my spirit. I don't know, but we can hope. So if you are someone who also likes miniatures and you are looking to this video for inspiration, I just want to let you all know right off the hop that everything I made, because spoiler alert, I already made it before I filmed this intro. I'm not going to let you know how it did, though, whether it, turned out or not. That you'll have to watch to find out. But anyway, all of the items were either made with materials that I got from a local dollar store or trash. Just bits and bobs that I found, lying around in the garbage, in the recycle. So pretty accessible, I hope. That's the plan. I wanted to make this, accessible and affordable as much as possible. Of course, if you have the means and the, availability to zhuzh it up with some high-end stuff, by all means, go nuts. If you, like me, are trying to tighten that purse string, stay within budget, then hopefully these projects will help. And if you are not interested in making your own miniatures, then hopefully you will find this video entertaining. Okay, let's just dive right in. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a hot beverage, or a cold beverage if it's hot where you are, or a cold beverage if it's cold where you are, but you like cold beverages. No judgment. It's cool, whatever. But either way, sit back, get cozy, and enjoy the festivication of my 1/6-ish scale Barbie-sized doll room. Oh yeah, I say ish because I don't hold to the scaling meticulously, because Barbie isn't like an exact scaled down replica of a person. So I figure if some of the things in the room are a little too big or a little too small according to like scaling things down. As long as they look in proportion-ish with Barbie, it's good enough. So if you're a stickler for that, then you'll have to do your own measurements and figure how to scale things down yourself. There's lots of information and assistance, on Google with that. If you don't care like me, then just go with good enough. Just quickly becoming the motto of this channel. Good enough is good enough. Anyway, enough delaying. Let's jump in and start making some festive miniature decorations. Enjoy. When I found this garland at Dollar Tree, I was super excited because it's got this really skinny tinsel, and I think that'll be perfect potentially for the tree. But also, I love these ball ornaments. They come in 2 different sizes and 3 different colors, and they're just attached with these gold twist ties. So I started by removing the baubles from the garland. A yellow green, a darker green, and a red, a small yellow green, a big darker green, and a big red. You can see there's a bunch of them. I just removed them all. And then I took a paper clip. Didn't matter what color, I just grabbed a red one because I have a bunch of them. And I flattened it out with my jewelry pliers. Now the plan for this craft is to make an ornament stack for the topiary. If you've seen my Halloween decorations for the Barbie room, then you'll recognize, because I did something similar with the topiary with pumpkins, this time ornaments. Okay, so in order to stack them, I wanted to put a stick so that I would have a stick to put in the pot that I use on the balcony. And these were very difficult to puncture. I first tried the pliers, that didn't work. Then I tried a darning needle, which is a little bit bigger than a sewing needle. It's like for yarn. And clearly that didn't work. Then I tried my awl. Spoiler alert, that didn't work either. For being, cheap hollow ornaments, these were really sturdy. If you're going to try and do this yourself, I highly recommend caution. So what I ended up doing is I used my craft knife with the blade out just the tiniest little bit, and see that rocking motion? Very important. I didn't want to, have the blade, as I'm pushing down, skid off and slice myself or my table or whatever. So the rocking motion I found helped. Yeah, then I went back with the awl and ended up puncturing so hard it went through both sides. Top and bottom. Whoopsie! But that's okay, actually, because I wanted to put that dark green large bauble on the bottom and the red in the middle. So now I'm trying to line up an eyeball where I want the hole for the red bauble. And again, going in with the craft knife. This time went in with the craft knife right away. Rocking and twisting a little bit to try and get that hole. I cut in one direction, and then I went in and cut in the opposite direction, so it's like an X. And then I went in with the awl to make a hole. That wasn't as explosive as the first one. It was still pretty intense though, and I still recommend caution. You don't want to accidentally poke or cut yourself. Yeah, like I was shaking. That was pretty intense. Anyway, at this point, now I'm going in with some hot glue to secure the paperclip inside the baubles and the baubles to each other. So I first secured the paperclip to the red bauble, and then to the green. It just went right through, and I secured both the top and the bottom.
smoothed out the bottom a little bit, but I wasn't too concerned with it looking, it doesn't really need to look perfect because it's just going to be on top of those like rocks inside the little plant pot. And then I just glued the yellow-green bauble, the smaller one, on tippy top. And there's the pot with the plant that I found out you could just pull out. And that's why I wanted the stick, so I could just put the balls in the pot. And there you go. Topiary. The next thing I wanted to make for the balcony or patio area was a garland. So I was really happy to find these like sticks of basically fake Christmas tree. And I got that bundle. It was a pack from Dollar Tree. I started with 2 and twisted them together so it would look a little bit thicker and a little bit more realistic. And then I just like fluffed and crunched up the branches a little bit. And then I took another one, just one, and folded it in half because the 2 sides of the balcony railing obviously are different sizing. So I needed a long one for the long side and a short one for the short side. So I just wrapped the 2 halves together and fluffed them up. And then I connected them by basically twist tying the open ends of the long around the loop of the shorter end. And it's just going to set up there. Then I got these copper wired lights and I had to twist them together because the lights were really far apart. So to make them closer together, I just folded and twisted some wire in between the lights. And then I took the lights and wrapped them around the garland. And that's how I attached the garland to the banner. So it's not permanent. When Christmas is over, I can, in theory, we'll see how everything goes together. I can, in theory, take all this down without damaging the balcony at all. Which is really good because that railing is rather delicate. The addition of the garland, though, actually helps sturdy it up a little bit, so I'm going to be rather reluctant to remove that when it comes time. But I digress. So I just wrapped the wire light string around the garland, attaching it to the railing. And I'm just going to stick the battery box behind the doll room, so it's just hidden. I wanted to add a little bit extra, and because I had some extra picks, I thought I would take another of those sticks and fold it in half, wrap it around itself, fluff it up, and then fold it around itself again and make a wreath. And this is what I mean by taking the 2 open ends and the loop end and just kind of twist tying them together. Voila! And now you have a little, looks like a pine wreath or something. And I ended up making 3 of those. Aren't they cute? I really like that. Then I found this glitter ribbon, also from Dollar Tree. It was the thinnest ribbon that I could find. I was hoping for something like velvety, but I like the sparkle, so that's okay. And I cut strips that were the same length as those fake greenery lengths. And I'm just going to tie the sparkle ribbon onto the wreath. Super simple enough. I just kept measuring. This was the first one I did, so I wasn't quite sure if it was going to work. And I was just measuring the ends to make sure they were pretty much the same length. I didn't want to finish a bow and then have, a really long tie on one side and a really, really short tie on the other, or not enough that I couldn't get nice bow loops. It was a little bit fiddly because I wanted to make sure that all the ribbon that was shown was sparkly. But for being like this ribbon almost had like a paper feel to it, but it was quite sturdy. I could like yank on it pretty hard and it didn't rip. So that was quite nice. And then I just folded the ends and cut them at an angle. So I have those beautiful notched ends on the ribbon. Just making sure that, you know, it looks nice and even. And I didn't want, you know, the ribbon to overpower the wreath. I think that's really pretty. Now, working with this ribbon did there was a lot of glitter fallout. It created quite a mess on the desk. So if you're not a fan of glitter, maybe stay away from that ribbon. To attach the wreaths, I took the twist ties that came off the baubles from the previous craft, and I twist 2 of them together to make it a little bit longer. And then I fed that through underneath the ribbon, as you can see there. And then to attach it to the banister, I put one end of the twist tie between the banister and the garland. So like under the garland but over the banister, and then the other end went under the banister. And then I twisted them together. So it was attached to the banister but in a way that it wouldn't fall down. I hope that makes sense. So there's 2 on the long side of the railing. And 1 for the short side. And there you can kind of see I'm weaving it in between the banister and the garland. Again, just twist tying it together so that in theory it'll be easy to take off without wrecking the railing. And then I went ahead and put the topiary in, since that's basically all I have planned for this balcony patio situation. But I really like it. I went ahead and put in some batteries. Ah, isn't that gorgeous? It looks even better in the dark. I love it. When I saw this pink sparkly tree at my local Dollar Tree, I had to get it. It was the last one, and even though it's a little short, I figured I could make it work. So I took the original base that came on the tree, and I added a wooden spool from some thread that I had used up to make like a taller tree stand. And then I made a tree skirt just out of a large white circle, and it had to be pretty large to make sure that it would cover up the makeshift stand. This is the white fabric that I used on my peaches and cream Barbie dress. So again, fitting because it's Barbie related. Then I hot glued some fake fur. This was left over from my daughter's Halloween costume. I just cut some strips and hot glued it right onto the tree skirt. Now because that white fabric is kind of see-through, I cut 2 circles, sewed them right sides together, leaving a little bit of a spot that was unsewn, so I could flip it right side out, and essentially made like a round pillow. You don't have to do that if you're using fabric that's thicker, but this was pretty sheer, and I wanted to make sure it looked white, so it's double-sided. Even though these are straight strips of the fur, it was surprisingly easy to ease it around the circular tree skirt. I was afraid that it would like buckle and pull and wouldn't lay nice, but it actually did. And I had to cut a couple strips. I didn't have enough fabric left over to make like one nice long strip. But because it's a fuzzy, it's got that nice thick fur, you just kind of brush it and scrunch it, and you can hide the join. Then I found the center of the tree skirt and poked a hole. And that's where the bottle brush tree goes. Before I stick it into the tree stand though, I used a little hot glue just to secure everything. Originally I was going to make this in separate pieces so I could pull it apart for easy storage. I don't know how easy the storage is going to be, but I think it's going to be easier in the long run to just pull the whole thing out and put the whole thing away. I'll figure it how I'm going to store it when the time comes. That's later me problems. Yeah, so I added a little bit more hot glue after I put the tree skirt down to secure the tree to the tree skirt and the stand. Now once I got the tree skirt in place, it didn't lay quite nice, so I did end up cutting a little slit and overlapping just a little bit, and that worked beautifully. Now I'm putting on some lights. These are the same lights that I used for the balcony greenery, only these are on a silver wire instead of the brass wire. I wanted to go with pink and white and silver for the tree decorations. I just thought that screams Barbie. So I just secured the top light up at the top of the tree and then wrapped it down. And for these lights, because the wire is so long in between the lights, I did the same thing again that I did with the balcony. Just kind of shortened and twisted the wire in between the lights to make them a little closer together. There's that garland coming back. I was so excited to find that skinny tinsel garland. Again, I secured it at the top and then wrapped it down, going in the opposite direction of the lights so that the tinsel wouldn't accidentally cover up the lights. And that star at the top of the tree, I already glued that on top. I wanted to line it up with the light because that star is actually a bead, so it has a hole. And by positioning it on top of the light kind of shines up into the bead and makes it look like a glowing star tree topper. It's really pretty. Oh, I love these tinsel garlands. We have garlands like this on my tree. And it just... When I was a kid, we had that, like, the shredded tinsel stuff that you'd, like, grab handfuls and throw at the tree. That was fun, but my goodness, was that a mess. You'd be cleaning up tinsel for years. So I really like the garlands better. It still has that really beautiful, because it, like, shatters the light and makes it look, like, iridescent. It looks gorgeous, but it's not nearly as messy. So I just wrapped all the way down. And then when I got to the bottom, I cut off the extra because that was like 7 feet of tinsel and I clearly didn't need that much. I went ahead and just glued all of the bead ornaments because it was hot glue. I burned myself a bunch of times trying to reach around the camera and I just said, forget it. So I did that while the camera was off, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You just find whatever beads, pearls, glass balls that you want to stick on your tree and you just hot glue them on. That's the best part right there. Isn't it gorgeous with the lights? And wait for it. It looks even better in the dark. Oh, I love it. This craft is super simple. You just take a full-size greeting card and cut out a little part of it, preferably like rectangle shaped. Fold it in half, and there's your miniature card, essentially. Then if you want, you can just get a pen or a pencil and write your tiny little message from whoever. And that's essentially it. You can use little, like that's the moon from like a bigger picture of a card. I filled that one out from Midge. I also have one from Alan and Ken and Barbie and and I just made a little string and hung them up in front of the window. That's it. I wanted some presents to go with the tree. But the pre-wrapped mini ones that you get from the dollar store, they didn't go with my color scheme, so I'm making my own. This is the easiest box to make. You just cut a rectangle, and then you score where you want like the top and bottom flaps and all the little sides. You can measure it out and make it whatever size you want. and you're just going to score those. Don't cut them all the way through. And I leave a little flap, so I have 4 sides in the size that I want, plus a little flap, and that's how you glue it into its box shape. Now the part that you cut are all the little flaps just down to the middle. So you're just cutting the sides there to the middle on both sides. And then when you get to the flap, I cut those little ends off in the corners. Just makes it easier to glue. So the flaps aren't too, you don't want them too bulky. And I just use just a regular glue stick. You can use school glue, tacky glue, whatever. And just glue that flap. And I've made a bunch of different shapes. So with some of them, like this one here, I folded down the 2 sides and then the other 2 sides, and I used washi tape to give it like a, like make it look like an Amazon box or a box that's been taped up. This one I did the folded flaps. I'll show you how to do that in a second. So this is the box that I just finished after that little flap set. Then I worked on the ends. This was really hard to do. One-handed, reaching around the camera. It takes some finger contortion, that's for sure. And the washi tape, this was perfect. This was like the perfect size, but because washi tape isn't very sticky, yeah, that took some finagling as well, because it just kept wanting to pull right off. And then when I finally did get it stuck, it wasn't necessarily stuck in the right place. Yeah, it was fun. I found setting the box down to be a little easier, but what was even easier was if I was permanently sealing that, just glue the flaps, and then you don't have to worry about the flaps moving. And then all you have to deal with is the tape, as opposed to trying to keep the flaps in place and mess with the tape. Just glue the flaps. I like to cut the ends of the washi tape because it makes it look like you've used one of those like tape, I don't even know what they're called. One of the rolls with like the rippy part on it. Anyway, so this is, I'm showing you here how you can secure the flaps without using tape. It's hard to explain, but that's why I have the visual, so hopefully that makes sense. Just kind of ease them together and voila. To go with the boxes, I thought it would be cool to have some rolls of wrapping paper. So those are paper straws that I cut down, and I used double-sided tape to secure the end of the wrapping paper, and just stick it down and wrap it around the straw. And then I cut strips of wrapping paper that were the same length as the straw, and I just stick it to the double-sided tape and then roll it up. Getting it started is pretty fiddly, especially with that shiny plasticky paper. With like paper, it works a lot better. And you just keep rolling until you're basically done. Now if that's all you want to do with it, you can secure the ends either with more double stick tape or glue. I am planning on setting up a little like gift wrapping scene, so that's why I've got them secured with twist ties for now. But I think those look really cute and quite realistic. I really liked how the candle turned out for the Halloween decorations, so I decided to make a Christmas one. I'm not going to explain how to do that. You can go and watch the Halloween Barbie decorations for that one. Then this ladder was completely spontaneous. I used 2 wider dowels and then 1 long, really, really skinny dowel that I cut into 3 pieces, and those are the rungs. I used brass tack from a picture hanging kit to like start little holes, and then I used these sewing straight pins with these really pretty like teal pearls on the ends, which I glued in, and those are like the nails. For the wreath, I used, that's about 1/4 of a piece of the greenery, and I painted it pink to match the tree. Of course, I added a coat of iridescent paint as well, just to sparkle it up a little. And then the curling ribbon, which I just tied to sort of mimic a bow, and I also used that to tie the wreath to the ladder. The whole reason I made the ladder was for these stockings that I made. The green one is a scrap from a Halloween costume, and the pink one is a scrap from pants that I turned into shorts. And then the leftover fuzz, which is the same fuzz that I used for the tree skirt. And that just tops the stockings and makes them look gorgeous. I tied those to the ladder with just some silver thread. They actually fit Barbie's feet. Stockings, I think, are supposed to be a little bit bigger, but I didn't measure, and I inadvertently made them to be the same size as Barbie. But they're tied up because I didn't know where else to put them. I didn't want to put any holes in the wall or stick them anywhere that they might fall down or rip stuff off. So that's why that's there. And then I made a quilt because I had this quilt, but it didn't match the vibes of the tree. It was too like traditional. So I made a brand new quilt incorporating more pink and like a softer aqua green to sort of match the room and the tree better. I made the pillow as well. And yeah, they're all just with scraps. The pillow is with the tiniest little scraps for strips. But those are all just leftover fabrics, including the backside of the pillow. That's some flannel that was left over from last year's Christmas pajamas. So, yeah.
I like it. I like it. Makes me feel a little something. Right in the jellies. I really like how I went with the traditional red and green colors out here on the balcony patio, and then more of like the icy blues and pinks and silvers inside. I think that looks really nice. The tree's still a little short, but it is what it is. It's the only pink tree I was able to find, so good enough is good enough. Anyway, I've decided I'm going to leave this setup like this for now because it's still early in the season. I don't even have all my gifts bought, let alone wrapped. So I think it's acceptable for Barbie to still be wrapping. Eventually, I do plan on wrapping all the presents and putting them under the tree and maybe changing up the layout a little bit. And if I do that, I will be posting it on Instagram. So if you'd like to see any of the changes as we get a little closer to Christmas, then link down below is my Instagram. I think other than changing the layout though, I don't need to add anything else. Oh, there's one more thing. One more thing that I do want to make. But it's a little early yet. That's a closer to Christmas thing. And I'm not going to tell you about it here. If you want to know what that thing is, you're going to have to go and check it out on Instagram because that's where I'm going to share it. All right, well, that's it for me and my unhinged gingerbread people for this video. Thank you very much, lovelies, for watching. I hope that you found it possibly inspirational, maybe even educational, and at the very least, entertaining. I will see you in my next video, which is going to be my last video of 2023. So until then, in a couple weeks, take care, stay fabulous, stay safe, and know that you're loved. Bye.